My name is Lin Hao. When I opened my eyes, I was lying next to a garbage pile in a strange city. My whole body was covered in wounds. My clothes were in rags. My mouth was full of the taste of blood. But my mind now held two completely different sets of memories. They were tangled together like two ropes, pulling at my nerves. One set belonged to this body's original owner, a useless child from the Lin family of the Qinglong Empire. After 8 years, he still hadn't awakened his spiritual power. People called him a worthless fool who did nothing but take up space. Today, he was kicked out of the family in public. His name was even crossed out from the family record. The other set belonged to me, a Jindan cultivator from the immortal world, also a master alchemist. 300 years ago, I failed a heavenly tribulation. My body shattered, and my soul has been drifting ever since. The memories flooded in like a tidal wave. Every single frame was as clear as if it happened yesterday. The moment the memories merged, I suddenly understood one thing. Heaven didn't let me die. It gave me a second chance. I got up from the garbage pile, brushed off rotten leaves and mud. But I just couldn't help but smile. People walking by looked at me with pity. They thought I was driven out of my home, and went crazy because I couldn't handle it. But they had no idea. Right now, my head was full of 300 years of alchemy experience, hundreds of pill formulas, and a complete cultivation method. Useless, huh? That's all in the past now. I looked up at the sky. The sunlight was blinding. But for the first time ever, my heart felt bright. This life, I'll take back everything I've lost. I found an abandoned military outpost to stay in. This place has been deserted for years. The walls are peeling. Vines cover the windows. Rusty metal and broken glass are scattered everywhere. There's a musty smell in the air. But to me, it's already the best shelter I could ask for. I sat down cross-legged, facing up at the stars, and started examining my body from within. The moment my mind sank into my dantian, my heart sank as well. My dantian was cracked all over like it had been smashed with a hammer. Like a porcelain jar, covered in spiderweb cracks. The deepest crack nearly went clear across the whole dantian wall. Spiritual energy was leaking out like crazy through those cracks. Like a balloon losing air. My golden core was dim and dull, with little dents everywhere. It could fall apart any second. 300 years of cultivation, all gone in an instant. But I didn't panic. Because I realized something was odd about the air in this world. Besides spiritual energy, there was another violent, chaotic energy, swirling around in the air. Chaotic chi. I used my divine sense to grab a wisp of it, carefully checked it, and confirmed it was real. In the cultivation world, that kind of chaotic chi disappeared 10,000 years ago. Ancient books say. Ancient cultivators used it to strengthen their bodies, so tough they could take a thunder strike head-on. Later, as chaotic chi disappeared, this kind of training was lost. But I just happened to have a technique from my past life. The eternal evergreen technique. Made specifically to refine the body with chaotic chi. My dantian was shattered, so I can't practice the original way. I'll just train my body instead. I closed my eyes and started running the technique. The chaotic chi in the air got drawn in like it was being sucked by a magnet, flowing into my body, running along my meridians. It hurts, but it's worth it. I trained all night long, my joints popping like firecrackers, my body sweating out a layer of black gunk, stinking and nasty. I looked like I just crawled out of a sewer. I opened my eyes and found the world had changed. The sky was bluer, the grass greener. Even the suffocating chaotic chi in the air didn't bother me anymore. My hearing and vision got way better. I could even hear birds singing on trees far away. I walked out of the outpost, my stomach growling with hunger. Time to find something to eat. I squatted by the road, pulled out a random weed, and was about to stuff it in my mouth, but my hand suddenly stopped. I stared at that plant, my eyes going wide. This isn't just a weed. This is glazed lettuce. A top-grade spiritual plant in the world of cultivation. It's the main ingredient for foundation pills. It's worth a fortune. Just one leaf can help someone start cultivating. Back in the immortal world, people fought to the death over each glazed lettuce. Even small sects would battle each other for it. But here, it just grows right by the road. And someone even stepped on its leaves. My heart was pounding hard. So I quickly looked around. Golden melon, 9-leaf ginseng, first earth gut herb. All of them. Spiritual herbs that could start a massacre in the world of cultivation. Here, they just grow by the street, in cracks and trash piles. People step on them like weeds. Some are even blooming or bearing seeds. Nobody cares about them. I took a deep breath. Tried my best to calm down. But my palms were slick with sweat. And I just couldn't stop grinning. This world is full of treasures. And me? I'm the only one who knows what all this trash is really worth. With spiritual herbs like these, I couldn't wait to start refining pills. I found a hidden corner. And took out an old, dusty cauldron from my past life. The Shannon cauldron. The treasure that traveled with my soul through reincarnation. It might look plain, the bottom charred and covered in soot. But it's actually a spirit-level cauldron. It changes size at will. And is 30% more likely to succeed than regular ones. I lined up the herbs I picked. And processed them according to my memories. Peeling, removing fibers, keeping the essence. My fingers working in a blur. Smooth and skillful. Then I tossed them into the cauldron. Called out the strange fire in my dantian. And started heating it up. After 15 minutes. The spiritual energy inside the cauldron went wild. I could feel the medicinal liquid churning violently. Like boiling lava. Before I could react, I heard a loud boom. The cauldron exploded, sending me flying with the blast wave. My face was covered in ash. Hair singed at the ends. Half of my eyebrows were burned off. My mouth was full of bitter medicine dregs. My ears were buzzing. But I didn't stop. I got up and kept trying. One batch after another, over 10 explosions in a row. The walls of the whole abandoned outpost turned pitch black. Piles of leftover herb gunk covered the floor. Even the patrol team from the forest nearby thought a high-level beast had appeared. So they came to investigate. I hid behind the ruins until they left, then kept training until sunset. The 20th batch finally succeeded. The moment the pill was formed, 2 lightning bolts shot down out of nowhere, striking the pill right on target. Purple gold sparks danced across its surface, with a crackling sound. I almost cried. A heavenly rank pill, powerful enough to trigger a thunder tribulation. I spent a whole lifetime making these in my last life. Heaven-grade pills are rare. Each batch needs half a month to prepare. Using the best spirit herbs. And perfect control over the fire. Plus, you need luck. But here, I'm using wild herbs I picked by the road as ingredients. With an abandoned outpost as my pill room. And I succeeded on the first try. I took the pill out of the cauldron. Put it in my palm. The pill looked smooth and full. Light pill patterns showed on its surface. A faint, fresh scent of medicine drifted out. I popped it into my mouth. Its power turned into a warm flow, spreading through my limbs and bones. That warmth felt like a spring stream, flowing along my meridians. Wherever it went, hidden injuries healed. Blockages cleared. My shattered dantian wasn't fixed yet. But most of my old wounds were healed. What surprised me even more was that this small recovery pill worked at least 30% better than in my past life. The reason is simple. The ingredient quality is way higher. Herbs you'd need spirit stones to buy in the cultivation world are just weeds here. I sat in the ruins, holding the rest of the pills in my hand, grinning like an idiot. This world is my lucky place. My body was a bit better. So I decided to try my luck at the origin testing hall in town. The elementalist system here is a lot like spirit roots in the cultivation world. But it's not quite the same. They can control elemental power. But they can't make pills. Or create talismans. Even their basic techniques are super crude. I waited in line for 2 hours. Finally, it was my turn. I walked into a testing booth that looked like a phone booth. Placed my palm in the slot. A tingling current ran into my hand. The machine buzzed as I breathed in. The test results showed I'm a fire origin, top grade. That result kinda threw me off. In my past life, I was a wood spirit root. Totally unrelated to fire. Maybe the strange fire inside me messed with the test. Or maybe being reborn changed my spirit root. Next was the mental force test. I purposely held back. 'Cause my spiritual sense is way beyond this world's level. If I showed it, I'd get in big trouble. The report finally said I was a top-grade elementalist. But with 0 mental force. People around me stopped being surprised. And started to look at me with pity. A top-grade elementalist with no mental force is basically crippled. I didn't explain. Just took the report and left. The tester mumbled behind me, saying I was wasting my talent. I just smiled. He's not wrong. I am wasting my talent. But not in the way they think. First week of physical training at school. I came in last. 50 laps around the track. By lap 20, I was already at the back. My lungs felt like they were going to explode. My legs felt heavy as lead. My classmates laughed, called me a fake prodigy. All talent, no results. No real strength. I stayed quiet. Because I knew what I was doing. Every time I ran till I was about to pass out. My evergreen skill got a bit faster. Chaos energy rushed wildly inside me, forging my bones and strengthening my muscles. That tearing pain was the price of getting stronger. A month later, I went from dead last to top of the grade. No one knew how I did it. They just saw my scores shooting up. During combat class, I got paired with Tongdo, the strongest in the grade. Everyone wanted to see me get destroyed. Someone even started a betting pool, guessing how many moves I could last against Tongdo. The whistle blew, and Tongdo shot at me like a cannonball. Super fast. Crazy strong. If it was me a week ago, I'd have been sent flying right away. But now, it's different. I didn't dodge, just threw a punch. A thud echoed in the room. Tongdo flew 5 meters back and crashed to the ground, eyes full of disbelief. The whole place went silent. You could hear people breathing. I pulled my fist back, my knuckles cracking. Body training was definitely the right path. End of the semester, my evergreen skill reached the flesh-tearing stage. Midway through, my skin turned smooth and jade-like, muscles solid and powerful, my whole body bursting with energy. But what I cared about most wasn't my progress. It was my dantian. The broken dantian was full of holes. Spiritual energy just leaked out. Can't hold anything. But then I noticed something weird. Chaos energy actually stayed inside my body. The shattered dantian didn't reject chaos energy. It actually helped separate spiritual and chaos energy. Spiritual energy leaked out the cracks, but chaos energy stayed behind. It's like an automatic sorting machine, precise and efficient. This discovery thrilled me. I started absorbing chaos energy from the air like crazy, circulating the evergreen skill. My joints cracked, meridians expanded, and the cracks in my dantian started healing before my eyes. After 3 days, the last crack closed up. The moment my dantian healed, I felt reborn. Spiritual energy flowed smoothly through my channels and didn't leak out anymore. My golden core shone again. Not quite back to my past life's peak, but I can operate normally now. I opened my eyes, let out a long breath. My dantian's healed. My mage cultivation is back too. Maybe just at foundation building now, but I'm confident I'll reach gold core again soon. After my dantian healed, my cultivation shot up like a rocket, rising super fast. Foundation early, mid, and late stage. Broke through 3 levels in a month. Even I could barely believe it. If I wasn't afraid of standing out, I bet I could jump straight to false core. But I held back. Kept my level at foundation early stage. On the outside, I looked just like any ordinary cultivator here. Honestly, the cultivation system in this world is nothing like the one I know. They're on totally different levels. People here control the elements: wind, fire, water, earth. Sounds cool. But their understanding of spiritual energy is super basic. They mess up the simplest energy flow cycles. Never mind gold core or spirit baby stages. So I'm pretty sure no one can see my true power. That's a huge advantage. I got into Azure Dragon Academy, the best school in the Azure Dragon Empire, with the lowest passing score. Saying I got in is a stretch. It was all about grade manipulation. Every subject scored just on the borderline. On registration day, I walked in with a faded old bag and immediately drew loads of stares. No curiosity in those eyes. Just waiting to see me fail. On the test report, the words, "no mental power," stood out like a birthmark. Stamped right on my record. Wherever I went, people whispered, "That's the loser with 0 mental strength." Heard his power test was just like a normal person. No idea how he got in. I tuned them all out. Found a spot in the corner by the wall. Didn't care. I wasn't here to prove anything. Just to learn about this strange world. And maybe pick up some perks. The cafeteria is free. Dorms are free. Even the training rooms are free. Getting lucky like this never happens. In my last life, this was impossible. I leaned back in my chair, smiling a little. Getting mocked won't kill me. But free spirit energy training rooms, those are a real deal. The dorm fits for about 20 square meters. When I walked in with my bag, 3 guys were already there. Yi Qingtin stood by the window. His white clothes shrouded in faint mist. Calm as a rock. Never says more than 10 words at a time. But every time I moved stuff, he'd quietly pick up the heaviest thing and help. Later I found out his grandpa's a healer, still searching for medicine to heal his old wounds. Cui Tianxiao was putting on a face mask in front of the mirror. Didn't even look over. The new guy's skin is way too rough. Total pretty boy. Obsessed with his looks. Spends more time on skincare than training. His closet's fuller than the girls' dorms. But his sword skills are insane. Hits a target from 100 steps. Turns deadly serious in a fight. Qi Ming shrank into his bed corner, hugging his pocket watch. The moment I glanced at him, his face turned red all the way to his ears. Hi, my name's Qi Ming. He stammers when he talks. Gets shy around strangers. But his hands are rock steady when setting up runes. His grandpa's a rune master. Old Master Qi's been missing for years. And left him only this pocket watch. He keeps it on him all the time. Like it's his lifeline. The four of us together. Caused chaos the very first day. Lightning blades and golden runes. Flying everywhere. Boom. Half the wall collapsed. When the dean showed up with a scowl. We stood there, covered in dust. I looked over at the three of them. And couldn't help but smile. We're all oddballs. But this life might not be so lonely. The cafeteria is totally free. But only has a couple fixed meal options every day. On my first day, I got 4 meals at once. Scaring the lunch lady pale. She probably thought I starved to death and came back to eat. I realized later on. All the veggies in the set meal are spirit herbs. The green rice is actually jingmi. The dishes are made with glazed lettuce. The soup even has slices of golden gourd. In this world, these are called purified vegetables. Ordinary people can just buy them at the market. But in the cultivation world, that's just a huge waste. Glazed lettuce is a main ingredient for foundation pills. Super hard to find even one. Golden gourd can make top healing elixirs. Worth a fortune. Green spirit rice is full of pure energy. Eat it often and it purifies your body. Even Gendan cultivators can't afford to eat these treasures. But in this cafeteria, they're just there for us like ordinary cabbage. I squatted in the corner of the cafeteria. And shoved the last bit of spirit rice into my mouth. Quietly thinking about something. If I use these spirit herbs for alchemy, my cost is almost zero. And the profit would be insane. Even better. Everyone here needs pills, students and teachers. The market is right here. Within reach. A whole business plan was forming in my head. I used my saved scholarship money. And bought some basic alchemy tools. Started my own furnace in the dorm secretly. Can't use the Shannon cauldron. That would be way too flashy. I just used the basic cauldron the school gave out. It's not as good. But it's enough for a minor pill. The first batch I made was minor recovery pills. Here, healers can only make liquid potions. They're slow to take effect. And super expensive. A high-level potion costs hundreds of thousands of credits. But my little pill heals any wound in 30 seconds. And costs under 100 credits. When it finished refining, the whole dorm was filled with the smell of herbs. The scent was so rich you could almost see it. It slipped out through the doorway. The hallway reeked of it. My roommates followed the smell over. Cui Tianxiao was the first to ask what I was doing. I handed them the pill. And said this is called red elixir. Yi Qingting, the healer, didn't hesitate. Pulled out a knife and cut deep into her arm. A deep cut. Blood was pouring out. Then she swallowed the pill. 3 seconds later, her wound closed up. Not even a scar left. The three of them stared at me. Like I was some kind of monster. Stammered, "What kind of magic pill is this?" The success of the red potion really boosted my confidence. I started researching the mental power of this world. I found it's a lot like spiritual consciousness from the cultivation realm. But way weaker. If spiritual sense is a 10, mental power is barely a 2 or 3. Here, rune masters and healers both need mental power. But recharging it quickly is tough. Even the priciest mental relaxant barely works. And it costs over 10 million credits each. I dug up an old pill recipe from my past life. Found the formula for the heavenly spirit pill. This pill restores mental power fully in a minute. It was a hot item in the cultivation world too. I spent 3 days tweaking the formula. Substituted ingredients with local herbs. Ran over 10 batches. Blew up 7 or 8. Finally nailed the perfect mix. The moment the pill finished, I asked Qi Ming to try it. He's a rune master. Uses a ton of mental power. Always complaining about headaches. After taking the blue pill, his eyes brightened. Said his head stopped hurting. His mind felt amazing. Red pill plus blue pill. One heals. One restores mana. This combo is enough to shake up Q Incontinence potion market. The effects of red and blue pills spread like wildfire quickly throughout the academy. At first, students traded them quietly. A red pill sold for 5,000 credits. Way cheaper than official healing potions. And 10 times as effective. Someone badly injured collapsed. Then swallowed a red pill. And bounced right back in a few breaths. Someone ran out of mana. Took a blue pill. And instantly perked up. Word spread fast. Growing bigger and bigger. Even teachers came asking for pills. When Mr. Luo Jun taught combat class, he accidentally got his arm slashed by a student. The cut was deep, down to the bone. I handed him a red pill. 3 seconds later, the wound healed like new. Not even a scar left. From then on, Mr. Luo became a loyal customer. He even promoted me in the faculty chat. Told everyone about it. I partnered up with my roommates. Rented a small store outside the academy. And named it U Shop. I picked the name. Simple and catchy. Chui Tianxiao teased it sounded dull. I said it's wise but modest. The shop isn't big. But the location's great. Right across from the academy's side gate. All students see it going in and out. First day open. Our stock got wiped out. Second day, pre-orders stretched to next month. Third day. Someone traveled from another city just to buy pills. And bought 100 at once. I sat behind the counter counting cash snacks. Until my hands cramped up. Chui Tianxiao remarked. He's never seen money come so easy. I said without looking up. This isn't easy. It's dimensional crushing. Military Academy's end-term competition prelims kicked off. My 3 roommates and I teamed up. Named ourselves No Surrender. Over 700 teams fought for 30 spots. Competition was fierce. Starting at 0 wins. We had 7 days to find one of 30 badges to qualify. Badges had faint mental power signals. So rune masters needed to sense them. With Qi Ming, we're good. No worries there. Teleporting began. A flash dropped down. And I opened my eyes. Found the 4 of us got sent to the north edge of the map. The closest badge was in the central area. We'd have to cross the whole forest, at least 5 days on foot. Chui Tianxiao cursed. Asked if the organizers were targeting us. Yi Qingtian's face was pale. Didn't say a word. Qi Ming got worried and blurted out. Asking if we'd just quit. I crouched down. Checked the map. Then looked at the nearby river. By water, we could get there in 3 days. But the river's 10 times riskier than going by land. DJ water beasts have danger sense. And can sink any boat. I stood and said we'd take the river. We agreed to travel by water. Chopped wood for a boat. And rode the current. Chui Tianxiao's strength is insane. He chopped a tree in one swing. Soon we had a pile of planks. Qi Ming made nails with gold spirit essence. Yi Qingtian handled assembly. An hour later. We built a wooden boat with cabins. But trouble came fast. DJ water beast's danger sense. Thousands of carp monsters jumped out of the river. Bombarding our boat like cannonballs. Tails slammed into the hull. Making loud thuds. Cracks appeared in the planks. The 4 of us fought back with elemental attacks. Thunder Sword, Ice Dragon, Golden Spike took turns. But mana drained fast. Yi Qingtian looked paler. Chui Tianxiao's Thunder Sword got thinner. I hid in the cabin. And started making potions with the Shenong Cauldron. These low-tier water beasts attack boats. Just because they're irritated. If we make the water super bitter, they'll avoid us. I grabbed a few bitter plants. Quickly turned them into pills. Then stuck them to the boat's bottom. Water within 10 meters turned awfully bitter. Carp beasts avoided us like the plague. We passed safely. Yi Qingtian asked what to call these. I said, midlife crisis. He twitched his mouth. And called it donut instead. On the 3rd day, we ran into the river lord of Peterson River, Gustav, a celestial tier crocodile beast. It suddenly shot out of the water. And chomped our boat in one bite. We all fell into the water. Cold river instantly up to our chests. Yi Qingtian moved the quickest. Froze the surface with ice essence. And we ran across the ice. But the croc was way too fast. It smashed the ice with its paws. Like breaking eggshells. Closing in really fast. I stopped to cover the rear, told teammates to go ahead. Swung my wolf blade and shot out fire. Luring the croc after me. And dove into the water to fight it hand to hand. Held my breath underwater for over 10 minutes. Every punch landed hard. Its scales were tough as iron. My fist hurt hitting them. But it wasn't any better off. I punched it back again and again. It kept retreating. I grabbed its celestial leg, climbed onto its neck and kept pounding. The croc got stunned. It had never faced a human this strong. Wanted to shake me off. But I held on tight. Wouldn't budge. Finally, I burned into its mouth with fire. Torched its insides. As the croc died, the water boiled all around. I surfaced, covered in wounds, but smiling. Yi Qingtian and the others rushed back to me, their eyes red. After killing the celestial croc, our spirits soared. Headed north non-stop, and found the badge at Courtesy Mountain. But before we could celebrate, nearly 100 teams surrounded us for the badge. I tossed a few beauty pills. White smoke filled the air. The first few people had swollen eyelids and lips like pig heads, scaring the rest into backing off. Yi Qingtian stepped up, called out, "Fighting over the badge is pointless. How about a fair contest? Best 2 out of 3. Losers leave on their own." Everyone reluctantly agreed. First, our strength player won head-on. Second round, they tied it up. Final match, I stepped in. Won by a hair. 2 out of 3. We won them all. So, the No Surrender team entered the finals as a dark horse. When we got back to the academy, Principal Wen met us personally at the gate. The usually stern old man's eyes were red, and his lips trembled. Halsa's academy had finished last 3 times straight. He held my hand tightly. With a raspy voice, "You're Halsa's heroes." The crowd cheered loudly. Junior students waved their flags. Many eyes were red. I smiled, pulled my hand away and said, "Principal, haven't won yet. Let's wait until we really win, then we'll talk about this." My teammates grinned at each other and looked ahead to the finals. Here we come. The finals are in a month. They'll be at Tianyi City. During pre-match training, I cultivated while making pills. Orders flooded the shop like snow. I took shifts with my roommates. Tired as hell, eyes closing at midnight. The furnace almost exploded. But counting cash gave me a boost. Money was just rolling in. I even dreamed about it. Red pills sell for 5,000 credits, costing less than 100. Blue pills go for 8,000, costing 200. Daily profit is huge. It's faster than a robbery. That's tens of millions a month. I turned spirit stones into crystals. For the eternal green technique. This technique is a money pit. The more I grow, the more chi I need. It requires even more crystals. But the whole continent backs me. My pill-making profits barely cover my consumption. Yi Qingting helps out sometimes. She calls me a greedy miser. All take and no give. But she's quick with her hands. I just smile and don't argue. She doesn't get that for a cultivator. Resources are life. I was too poor in my last life. This time, I'm getting rich. Cash piled up like mountains. I hear it in my dreams. The day before the finals, the media swarmed us. Team Unstoppable, the biggest dark horse this year. Everyone wanted a scoop. Chui flipped his hair for the camera, calling himself the hottest in Harses. Qiming couldn't even finish a sentence, his face turning bright red. Yi answered the press perfectly, flawless and composed. When it was my turn, they asked for a message to fans. I thought for a moment, and silenced the whole room. More pills at the same price post-race. Come and buy some. The reporters were stunned. Then they burst out laughing. Chui covered his face nearby. "Can you show some ambition?" I said, "Can ambition buy snacks? Cash is the only real currency." My meme went viral the next day. Caption, "The most honest contestant." Some called me a money grubber. Others said I was down to earth. People even visited the shop to check in. Our sales doubled again. Looking at the balance, I thought, let them talk. The more haters, the better. Who cares what they think? Top 4 schools met at Tianyi. Chu Yuni from Tianyi Academy, the continent's top genius. A heaven-tier rune master, mental power like an ocean. And Ling Yin, with a rare dark element, who can drain elemental power. Bai Ling from Shiyuan Academy, the youngest earth-tier healer. Then there's us from Harses, Team Unstoppable, 4 nobodies. At the entrance ceremony, the cheers were all for Team Tianyi. When Chu Yuni walked by, the screaming was deafening. Girls held signs with his name. We stood in the corner, like 4 ghosts. Chui wasn't happy about it. He said after the match, everyone would know our name. I said no need to wait. Once we're in the arena, they'll find out. Yi Qingting looked at me, hesitating to speak. Qiming's hands were sweating, clutching his pocket watch. I patted his shoulder. Don't worry. I'm here. The portal lit up. Team Tianyi entered first. A flash of white light. And they vanished. I took a deep breath, waiting for our moment. The match began. Team Tianyi took the lead. Chu used a wind array, flying his team over the forest. They cleared the first gate easily. His wind control was exquisite. Runes glowing with faint gold. Clearly a master's work. His mental power is insane. Hidden traps didn't even sense him. I watched from the sidelines, secretly impressed. This guy's mind is near divine sense. If he had a real technique, he'd be a total monster. Too bad this world system is crude. Most of his talent is wasted. His current method is amateur, relying purely on raw strength. Staring at Chu's back on screen, a thought popped into my head. If I could recruit him, I could rewrite this continent. A partner with talent and status is worth more than anything. But it's too early for that. Focus on the match first. Team Unstoppable, the last to enter. As soon as the portal started, I felt a violent jolt. Something's wrong. When we landed, it wasn't solid ground. It was a thick swamp. The mud was chest high, cold and stinking. The others were sinking fast. I summoned the vine tree, thick vines grabbing their wrists. I barely pulled them ashore. We weren't at the start at all, but miles away in a wasteland. Yi slumped on the ground, wiping mud off her face. Her voice was muffled. It's over. We have no hope. I stopped her, looking her in the eye. Since we're already late, let's go big or go home. Forget the badges. We're robbing Team Tianyi. Qiming didn't hesitate. He set the concealment array, hiding all our presents. We tracked them, following Chu's mental trail. Through the thick woods, over the ridges. 2 days later, we finally caught them at the mountain. I set a confusion array, luring them inside. Directions were scrambled. World turned upside down. Team Tianyi fell into chaos. Jiang was the first out, and Qing followed quickly. I locked onto Chu Yuni. I chased his wind trail. His speed was incredible, blurring into the wind. But with my haste talisman, I stayed right with him, nipping at his heels. After 10 miles, he couldn't lose me. And I couldn't catch him. Finally, he stopped in a clearing. Turning around, his eyes held no anger, only mild curiosity. He tilted his head. You're interesting, he said, panting for breath. I grinned. So are you. While chasing Chu, I hit their healer, Lin Kar. She jumped in front of Chu, mocking me. Called me a low city peasant, with nothing of value on me, unworthy to speak to him. I didn't waste words. One strike down, knocked her cold. I took her badges too. Chu soon returned to face me. We had a fierce fight, ending in a draw. He stopped and asked my name. Lin Hao, I said. He nodded. I'll remember that. Just then, a woman stepped out from the shadows. It was Lisan, a Harsis student, and part of our team. She looked at Chu strangely, like she'd known him forever, yet was hiding from something. I later found out. She had a huge secret. Her aptitude report was a lie. Her power was totally misjudged. She wasn't ordinary. She might not even be from this world. But none of that matters. The important thing is, she's one of ours. After the match ended, Lisan's garden affinity test report shocked everyone. He was tested as a fire garden in Dayton City. Top-tier talent. But that's not too rare. However, once the high-precision source detector at Hals's Academy started up, everyone was stunned. The screen clearly showed firewood dual gardens, both at heavenly first-class level. Twin heavenly first-class overlap, once in a millennium. The news exploded all over the web like a bomb. 6 out of 10 spots on trending searches were about it. Discussion, shock, and doubt flooded everywhere. What's even more shocking? Follow-up disclosure. His mental strength was not as weak as thought. It was so strong that normal devices couldn't even measure it. But since he missed the best time for development, that immense mental force already shrank badly. It can never recover. The elders were furious. They quickly ordered a full investigation into source detector corruption. Suddenly, reports of malfunction came from all over. Lots of officials got sacked. Lisan became a sensation overnight. Some envied his insane talent. Others felt sad about his unfortunate fate. If he hadn't been misdiagnosed back then. If he had been discovered 10 years earlier. He'd be so dazzling right now. I closed the star web. Leaned back in my chair. Silently told myself, this is a real genius. But I know. Talent is just the beginning. All that envy and sympathy just belongs to others. How far he'll go depends on every step he takes. Opportunity and character can't lack either. Lee Sin's journey still has a long way to go. The second match, Battleground, is set in the Wakaba Desert outside Shiyuan City. The rules have completely changed here. No time limit. But the committee gave each person barely any supplies. Just 500 milliliters of water and 3 nutrition shots. Desert daytime hits 60 degrees, hot enough to cook eggs. Night drops below -10. The temperature difference is crazy. The transmission point for the not convinced team was even worse. Talk about bad luck. We got tossed in the southernmost wasteland area. 800 or 900 kilometers from the destination. To make it worse, Yi Qingtian has an ice garden. In this high heat, his spirit is completely suppressed. He can't use it at all. His face looked pale. Lips cracked and bleeding. He wobbled with every step. Nearly passed out. I saw all this. And felt desperate. Luckily, the spirit herbs I picked helped a lot. I set up the medicine cauldron. Made a batch of qingfeng powder on the spot. This medicine could temporarily remove garden suppression. It's not a complete fix. But enough to get through this mess. Yi Qingtian swallowed the medicine. His color noticeably improved. Breathing steadied a lot. He asked me, surprised, what kind of medicine this was. I just smiled. Said it's a secret formula. But just relying on medicine won't work. We gotta keep moving. Looking at the endless desert. A bold idea popped up. Ride a red armor scorpion. This scorpion is the boss of the wasteland. Level 12 new beast. Super fierce. No one's ever tamed them as mounts. I stretched a bit. Thinking, you'll never know unless you try. I spent half an hour. To finally beat the red armor scorpion boss into submission. This guy is the local king. Level 12 new beast. Armor so strong it blocks blades. Poison on its tail can kill a cow instantly. Anyone else would have been dinner. But I'm different. I relied on my fists. Actually punched it over and over. My brute force and chaos power scared it. Finally, it lowered its proud head. To make sure it obeyed, I used strange fire to keep it warm. Desert nights are super cold. Cold-blooded star beasts slow down then. I don't want to ride a dead fish all the way. The red armor scorpion felt the warmth of the strange fire. And hummed in comfort. Its giant compound eyes looked at me. With less fierceness. Riding on its back through the desert. Man, it feels awesome. 6 legs moved rapidly. Leaving a deep trail in the sand. Way faster than walking, at least 10 times. Wind and sand hit my face. Armor clanged from the blowing. But no one cared. Because we know. Victory is just ahead. When this scene got streamed live. The whole star web blew up. Comments flooded in. Some said I'm the first person ever to ride a star beast. Others said. Maybe I used some evil trick on the red armor scorpion. I explained to the camera, serious. This isn't taming. It's physical persuasion. Beat it until it's scared. Then it'll behave. Not about taming. Just pure power dominance. The red armor scorpion ran all night. When dawn came, it brought us right to the desert center. I jumped off its back. Patted its tough shell. Fed it a healing pill. As thanks. It looked back at me. In those compound eyes. I think I saw something new. Then it turned away. Disappeared without looking back into the desert. Just as we got our footing at the desert center, we ran into big trouble. Blood-sucking vine seedlings roll like tumbleweeds. Blown everywhere by wind. Can't be cut with blades. Can't be burned by fire. Once wrapped around you, it'll drain you dry in seconds. But the sand boat team got trapped in the vine patch. They were calling us for help desperately. According to competition rules. Not helping means losing points. I sighed. Thinking, guess I can't avoid doing good. First, I pulled them up for a break. Then set up my medicine cauldron. Started making a batch of life pills. This medicine is usually for spirit herbs growth. But with blood-sucking vines, the effect is totally different. I threw the pills into the vine patch. They rooted and sprouted. The seedlings grew wild like they'd been pumped up. Instantly became mature. Then started strangling each other. Fighting for space. The whole vine patch became a mess. We dashed out in the chaos. When things settled, this barren desert turned into a lively oasis in minutes. Suddenly, green everywhere. White Spirit Shiyuan Academy. The youngest DJ healer looked at me, eyes full of admiration. He sincerely said, "Lin Hao, your pill making is the best I've ever seen." I scratched my head. Said it's alright. Mostly, the spirit herbs here are just high quality. He argued back seriously. No matter how good the herbs are, someone has to know how to use it too. I just smiled and stayed quiet. Well, that's actually true. Chinchi next to me couldn't help but mutter. He asked if I could do everything. I thought about it seriously. Then I dropped a line that made everyone burst out laughing. I can't have kids. The tense vibe vanished right away. Even Yi Qingtin couldn't help but twitch her lips. After we dashed out of the Bloodvine crowd, Team Rebel and Desert Ark decided to team up for now. In this crazy place, it's better to have a friend than an enemy. Our whole crew headed toward the island in the middle of the lake. I thought maybe we'd get a break this time. But halfway there, a new group jumped us. Team Turing's captain, Lin Ying, the genius with the rare dark element spirit, blocked us. He stared at me with no expression. Said he wanted to fight me. Honestly, I'm not interested in him. Cold, emotionless opponents are boring. But his offer was too good to refuse. Win or lose, he'd owe me a favor. A genius's favor is worth way more than some pin. So I agreed. But I said let's change the location. We'll do it on the island. Ling Yi nodded. Which meant he agreed. So the three teams joined forces and moved on. But I was thinking about something else. Ling Yi is so strange. His dark element spirit is like a black hole, swallowing everything around. But it doesn't feel natural to me. Before we reached the island, we ran into Team Tianyi. That maniac Chuyuni caught up to us by himself, charged wildly through our team, and snatched most of the competition tokens we'd worked so hard to gather. Cui Tianxiao lost it and started cursing. Yelled he's crazy or something. I watched Chuyuni walk away all cool. And just found him more interesting. He's not just stealing tokens. He's playing. He's so strong. He's just bored. So he messes with us for fun. That attitude. I know it too well. On the island, my showdown with Ling Yin finally began. His dark element spirit really is insane. It can swallow any elemental attack. When my blade fireball hit him, it's like it vanished into thin air. Totally gone. But too bad he fought me. My attacks aren't just elements. My punches are pure physical damage. With one swing of my wolf blade, the blade's aura was fierce. His so-called demon cannon was nothing to me. Smashed to pieces with one cut. I rushed up and punched him right in the chest. He flew out like a kite with its string cut. Hit the ground hard. He didn't want to give up. Got back up to fight again. I didn't give him a chance. Stomped on his chest and looked down, asking if he surrendered. He stayed silent. Just stared at me with those cold, fierce eyes. Like a snake pinned at the neck. But his teammate Song Shurun shouted they forfeit. So I finally let my foot go. Right then, Team Tianyi teleported onto the island. Chuyuni instantly spotted the flag, rushed over like the wind, and snatched it before I could. That's it, I thought. No more first place for me. But the next second, something crazy happened. Cui Tianxiao, being colorblind, grabbed the wrong flag. He didn't grab ours. He took Tianyi's. The portal activated right away. Before the four of us could react, we got swallowed by white light and vanished from the island. By the time the judges got us back, it was all over. Halsas got second place. Tianyi got first. Principal One was bawling his eyes out below the podium. He said this is the best result he's seen in all his years as principal. I watched his tears. Thought, if he's crying over second place, if we got first, he'd probably faint. I went back to Dayton City for the holidays. My adoptive father Li Yi is the principal of Dayton Academy. My adoptive mother Anna is pregnant with their second child. Her belly is already huge, like a little hill. I stayed at home for a few days. I helped Anna tend the garden every day. Those spirit herbs in the spiritual array are growing like crazy. They're vividly green and full of life. Just seeing them puts me in a good mood. One night, I was cultivating in my room and suddenly got a photo from an unknown number. I opened it up and was stunned. It was a corpse of a three-eyed mutant bug. Its pale gray body was curled up. Those 3 crimson eyes had lost all light. Attached was a dense string of gene sequences. The sender was the principal of Yangzhou Foundation Academy. Now, he's a strategist for a grassroots group called the Freedom Army. They're dedicated to fighting the evil Zuxian cult. I called him right away, asking where the bug came from. He said it was found inside a berserker. Those berserkers, after being killed in the Festival of Light attack, all had this kind of bug crawl out from their bodies. I stared at the picture, feeling a chill run down my back. The vibe from the bug was just like what I sensed on the northern battlefield, that psychic force controlling the beasts. Exactly the same. If there really is a connection between them, then Zuxian cult's power is way scarier than we thought. Yangzhou went silent on the phone for a while, then spoke softly. He suspects Zuxian cult is using these bugs to mass-produce berserkers. I asked if there was more info. He said they're still investigating. After hanging up, I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. The moonlight was pouring in outside, but my heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand. I could hardly breathe. On the Festival of Light, the city of Halsas was full of lights and decorations. The streets were packed with people. There were floats parading, with streaming ribbons everywhere. The sound of children laughing was all around. I was strolling through the streets, finally relaxing a bit, and soaking in the festive vibe. But soon, I noticed something was wrong. The dancers on the floats had totally fake smiles. Their eyes were cold, like hitmen watching their prey. Their grins looked stiff, like fake masks. The next second, they all moved at once. But it wasn't dancing. It was killing: fireballs, ice spikes, wind blades. All sorts of magical attacks, raining down on the innocent crowd. Blood splattered everywhere. Screams echoed nonstop. The lively street from moments ago instantly turned into a living hell. I rushed toward one of the servers to stop him. He popped a red pill and instantly doubled in size. His muscles tore right through his clothes. His fighting power exploded. I tangled with him using my serious blade. But I saw the terror and regret in his eyes. He couldn't control his body at all. It was like he was a puppet on strings. He didn't want to kill, but he just couldn't stop himself. That realization made my heart sink. In the end, I used an explosive talisman to blast him apart. A 3-eyed mutant bug burst out of his body, screeching sharply. I killed it in one strike. Yangzhou arrived with his team and quickly collected the bug's remains. With a grim face, he told me, "This is Zuxian cult's sacred pill. It can turn people into mindless berserkers." I squatted there, watching the server lying in a pool of blood. His eyes were clear again, but he wasn't breathing anymore. I clenched my fist tight, my nails digging into my palm. Yangzhou told me, "The Freedom Army is an anti-cult group formed by regular folks. Someone else is in charge, and their identity is top secret. He's only been recruited in to handle intelligence work. The Zuxian cult has existed for over 10,000 years. Their leader calls himself Mingzhenchuan, claiming to be immortal. Every so often, he launches massive terror attacks. This Festival of Light incident is just the tip of the iceberg," Yangzhou said. "An even greater scheme is still to come. What they have so far isn't nearly enough to understand Zuxian cult's true goal." I asked if there was anything I could do. He shook his head, saying not for now, but told me to be extremely careful. Zuxian cult is already watching me. I nodded, and put a bottle of red potion and a blue one in his hand. He froze for a second, then smiled a little, and said something that choked me up. "Linhao, you've grown up." I looked at his gray hair, and felt a lump in my chest. I remember back at the Foundation Academy. He'd stand at the podium, so full of life. His hair was jet black. And now, just a few years later, it's turned so white. He sacrificed so much to fight Zuxian cult. I can't even imagine. When I was about to leave, he called me back, looking more serious than ever. "Linhao, this world is way more dangerous than you think. Take care of yourself and the people around you." I said I understood. He added, if something happens to him one day, not to come looking for him. I didn't agree. I turned and walked away. I heard him start coughing behind me, each cough worse than the last. I didn't look back, because I knew, if I did, I wouldn't be able to leave. A few days later, Yangzhou vanished. Members of the Freedom Army found me, frantic, saying Yangzhou's vital signs were dropping fast. His heart rate went from 70 down to 50. And it kept dropping. If it kept up, he wouldn't last another 24 hours. I checked his last movements. And found that his last known location was the Lord's mansion in Tianyi City. Lord of Tianyi City, Shui Han, is actually a big name in the Qianyuan continent. But I don't believe in coincidences. I decided to go myself. I used a transformation potion to take on the look of Lin Kyer. That potion, I learned it in a past life from a Western witch. It tastes awful, like drinking down a whole sewer. But it works, no doubt. I checked myself out in the mirror. My face and height. Even Lin Kyer's haughty expression. I nailed every detail. Once inside the Lord's mansion, I didn't rush to look for someone, but opened up my senses and searched carefully. Soon, underground, I sensed Yangzhou's faint presence. I found the entrance to the dungeon and went down the damp steps. The air got thicker and grosser, full of blood and rot. At the very bottom of the dungeon, I saw Yangzhou. He was hanging on the wall, chained up. There's not a single patch of good skin on him. 3 of his fingers were broken. All his nails were ripped out, bloody and mangled. But what was even scarier? Someone stuffed a holy pill in his mouth. That 3-eyed monster bug was slowly burrowing into his body. I fought back my anger and rescued him. I used top-tier snacks to lure the bug out. And killed it in one strike. Yangzhou survived. But all his hair turned white. As white as snow. City Lord Shui Han escaped in the chaos. But in his office, we found tons of evidence about the Zhuxian cult. Turns out the Tianyi City Lord was part of a cult. He was the leader. Before fleeing, Shui Han told me a shocking secret to save his own skin. Ling Yin's dark elemental power wasn't natural. It was engineered. I thought he was making it up at first. But he didn't look like he was lying. He said Ling Yin was originally Earth element. Mediocre skills. Ranked near the bottom at Basic Academy. Someone planted a top-tier tree bug in him. That bug devoured his Earth element power. Then mutated it into dark power. Overnight, the loser became a genius. After hearing all this, I felt like ice water was poured down my back. I was cold from head to toe. If Zhuxian cult could mass-produce these powers, they could create a super army. 1 Ling Yin isn't scary. But 1,000, 10,000? I can't even imagine that scene. I told Yangzhou about it. He immediately used all the free army's intel network to investigate Ling Yin. What he found shocked me more. Someone messed with Ling Yin's records. All his dark history was wiped clean. Clean to the point it didn't feel normal. He was ranked at the bottom at Basic Academy. But right before graduation, he turned dark element and got fast-tracked into Hanyan Pavilion. His mom, Sun Jiaojiao, ran a small inn at Hanyan Fortress. Her background was squeaky clean, almost fake. His dad, Lin Feng, is head of the Lin family. Lin Feng and Chu family head, Chu Yu, are brothers-in-law. This whole thing is way deeper than I thought. Ling Yin isn't alone. He's got a huge web behind him. The Zhuxian cult's reach has already spread into Qianyuan mainland, the highest levels of power. I don't know how deep they've infiltrated. But I know everything from now on will be even more dangerous than I can imagine. The third match was held at Hanyan Fortress. Just as we arrived, a once-in-a-century snowstorm hit. It got so bad, even the teleport ports were shut down. We got stuck outside the city, shivering from the cold. Then even worse news came one after another. The northern fortress was surrounded by beast waves. All those new beasts had blood-red eyes. They had an eerie vibe. All infected by tree bugs. They fought way harder than regular star beasts. Fourth Army suffered heavy losses. The fortress was on the brink. Teachers and students from Halses didn't hesitate. They volunteered to help. We piled into armored vehicles, facing the blizzard, making our way across snowy plains with barely 5 meters visibility. We reached the fortress just before sunset. In the distance, the beast horde was packed thick, rolling in like waves. I swallowed a dragon elephant pill. My strength jumped 5 times. My muscles felt like they'd burst. 1,000 leaf hunter array activated. 18 glass beads turned into clouds of leaf blades, sweeping over the battlefield like a blizzard. I charged into the beast crowd. Smashed a beast's skull with 1 punch. Kicked another one away. Glass leaf blades swirling around me. Everywhere they went, new beasts fell left and right. Blood stained the ice field. I lost myself in the killing. Kept fighting from afternoon till dawn. Covered in blood. Couldn't tell if it was mine or the beast's. When the last new beast dropped, the beast tide finally retreated. I stood on Lion Mountain, breathing hard. Every part of my body hurt. Major Sun Qing from 4th Army walked up. He gave me a perfect military salute. He said, "Lin Hao. You're a hero." I just smiled. Didn't say anything. Hero? I just didn't want to die here, that's all. After the battle ended, Sun Qing told me. My battle record was as good as a whole division. I killed over 10,000 star beasts alone. More than a dozen of them were heavenly rank. Even he found that number hard to believe. But the report spelled it out clearly. I just smiled. Didn't say much. But what he didn't know was, I uncovered an even bigger secret on the battlefield. Those new beasts infected by the woodworm didn't come here to die on their own. They were being controlled. They were like puppets on strings. An invisible hand drove them to attack the fortress wave after wave. The one controlling them was hiding nearby, directing with psychic power. That power was really well hidden. Most cultivators can't sense it at all. But my spirit sense is a lot stronger. I traced that psychic energy, narrowed down the source little by little, and finally locked onto someone. Linny was on the battlefield too. His shadow spirit was absorbing elements around him. It looked like he was fighting. But I knew it was for show. His shadow spirit shouldn't be able to control new beasts. Unless the woodworm in him is a descendant of the royal breed. A royal worm is the king of the woodworm clan. It can command the whole race. If Linine has a royal worm in him, if that's really the royal bloodline, it's way more valuable than I thought. The investment Juxian sect put in him is greater than I imagined. I kept quiet. Kept the discovery to myself. Ling Yin is a member of the Lin family. His connections run deep. If I act rashly, I'll scare them off. I need more proof. And a better chance. The 1,000 Leaves kill array ran for over 10 hours. My spirit sense was drained. Head hurt like it would split. Just when I thought the beast tide was ending, new beasts showed up on the horizon again. My heart sank. These new beasts' eyes were even redder. Their aura was even creepier. All of them were parasitized by woodworms. Deeper than before. 3 times as many as last wave. And higher level too. Heavenly star beasts everywhere. I glanced back at the fortress. On the fortress walls, soldiers were rushing to repair the defenses, fixing damage as fast as they could. Wounded were being carried away. New fighters took their place. Inside, there are hundreds of thousands of innocents. I had no way out. I bit my tongue. The pain cleared my mind. I poured all my spirit into the array. The glass orb glowed bright green, like a green sun. Rain poured down. Every leaf became a blade, slaughtering the new beasts. Star beasts fell like wheat cut down. Bodies piled up like mountains. But in that moment my consciousness drifted out of my body. I hovered above the battlefield, looking down on everything. I saw the whole Qianyuan continent. The lives of countless beings. Saw the fierce law of the jungle. But also hope that never dies. I understood something in that moment. Sometimes you must kill to save thousands. Killing is part of the path. It's not cruelty. It's compassion. Real compassion isn't refusing to kill. It's killing what must be killed. And saving who should be saved. The inner demon shattered before me. My spirit broke through its limits. Reached a level I'd never touched. The beast tide finally withdrew. I met Chuyuni on the battlefield. The man known as Qianyuan's top prodigy. Held the fortress's east side alone. His blade like the reaper's scythe. Everywhere he went, the new beasts dropped one by one. Bodies at the base of the wall were piled higher than he was. But his face looked bad. Pale as paper. Lips were purple. Eyes sunken. I checked his pulse. Probed his body with my spirit sense. And felt a sinking feeling. His psychic power was too strong. Way beyond what his body could handle. It's like a cup. Filled over the brim. It can't hold that much without breaking. He's burning his life to fuel his power every day. His body is full of wounds. I told him the truth. He doesn't have long left. The day his spirit collapses is the day he'll die. He was calm. So calm it surprised me. No fear in those purple eyes. No regret. Just a quiet acceptance of life and death. He asked how long he had left. I said, at most a year. He nodded. Said that's enough. I asked him, is there anything you still want to do? He said he wants to find his sister. Take care of his mom. And then he wouldn't have regrets. Looking into his eyes, I suddenly felt it was a shame. If he had a complete practice method, with his talent, he was destined to reach immortality. Sadly, this world is missing its heavenly laws. There's no tribulation lightning to refine his body. All he can do is wait to die. I was silent for a long time. Then finally said, "If you want, I can help you." He looked at me. A glimmer appeared in those purple eyes. I told Chuyuni. The Juxian sect's leader, Mingjin, has always wanted to possess his body. His divine body is Mingjin's dream vessel, a shell perfect enough to hold her vast soul. After hearing this, Chuyuni went silent for a long time. Then he asked me, "Is there any way to draw out Mingjin?" I said there is. But you'll have to be bait. I'm crafting a medicine called 5 Organs Destiny Pill. After you take it, your divine body's aura will be totally exposed. Like a shining golden pill. Evil cultivators within 1,000 miles will notice it. If Mingjin catches that scent, she'll definitely come. Chuyuni nodded and agreed. No hesitation. I told him. Take that pill. You won't live out the month. He said that's fine. I looked him in the eyes. Wanted to say something. But my throat felt stuck. He wasn't unafraid of death. He just felt. If his life can bring Mingjin down, it's worth it. I asked if he had any last wishes. He said, "I hope you'll look after my mom." I said, "Sure." He said again, "Hope you find my sister." I said, "Sure." Then he said, "I hope you can." He didn't finish. Just shook his head. And said, "Forget it." I didn't ask. But I knew what he wanted to say. Because I wanted to say the same thing to him. In this lifetime, I've met a lot of people. But few made me feel this much regret. Chuyuni was the first one. I wrote the single formula for the 5 organs recovery pill on paper. Started prepping the ingredients. It was almost dawn outside the window. I know. Every step from here on is walking on a razor's edge. The 5 organs recovery pill was made. The moment Chuyuni swallowed the pill, he seemed to light up. His hair changed from white to black. His skin turned healthy and rosy. There was a sparkle in his eyes. Even his breathing became strong. He stood in front of the mirror, staring for a while. Like he saw his younger self. That bold, confident version of himself. But I know. It's just an illusion. The pill is burning up his last life force. His organs are failing quickly, clearly visible. Every bit of vitality is paid for with his life. We started luring out the snake. Based on intelligence from the Freedom Army, we pinpointed 16 suspicious targets. All powerful figures on Shenyuan continent. After rounds of investigation, one last name came up. Lin Jian, Secretary General of the Elder Council. A Heaven-tier rune master. He's Lin Kair's uncle. He was hit by my mind maze at the Shiyuan tournament. He's been recuperating ever since. Rarely goes out. This timing is way too convenient. Almost feels like it's not just coincidence. We ran into her at a tea house. She wore a fancy long robe. Her perfume was overly strong, almost pungent. But beneath that scent was a faint, barely noticeable stench of decay. The smell of a rotting corpse. I'm way too familiar with that. He smiled and greeted us. But his eyes were cold, like a snake. I smiled back. But I'd pretty much confirmed it. Chuyuni kept it cool and chatted with him. We seemed like 3 friends having tea and talking. But beneath our cups, tension brewed. That night, he showed up. The Chu family's defense array was nothing to him. He strolled into the courtyard like his own backyard. Under the moonlight, his face twisted and warped. Like a melting wax figure. Mingjin finally revealed himself. Mingjin tore off Lin Jian's disguise. And showed his true form. The face still had traces of Lin Jian's features. But the facial features were twisted. Like a wax statue roasted by fire. His nose was crooked. One eye was bigger than the other. His mouth split all the way to his ear. Most terrifying was inside the mouth, pitch black. Like a bottomless pit. No sign of teeth. No sign of a tongue. Just endless darkness. I activated the 1,000-leaf kill array. 18 glass beads became countless leaves flying everywhere. They surged to slice him down. But he just opened that black, gaping mouth. Every leaf got sucked in. Completely vanished. He can devour elemental force. All spells are useless against him. I drew my Sirius blade and charged. If spells don't work, then fists will. My blade clashed with his claws. Sparks flew everywhere. He's incredibly fast. And his strength is shocking. Every strike screams through the air. I countered with the edge technique Chuyuni taught me. Every cut was deadly. Hundreds of rounds, still no winner. Suddenly Mingjin vanished. Not invisible. He truly disappeared. Like a drop of water into the ocean. I spread my mind, searching wildly. But couldn't sense him at all. Next second, I saw a stream of black smoke. It entered Chuyuni's 7 orifices. Eyes and nose. Ears and mouth. The smoke poured in like something alive. Chuyuni's body suddenly froze, then began shaking violently. His eyes changed. From clear purple to dark, sinister red. His mouth slowly split open. And showed a smile that wasn't his. Parasitism complete. Mingjin spoke in Chuyuni's voice. Thanks for helping me build this body. I'll be taking this skin. I watched as Mingjin invaded Chuyuni's body. But I couldn't help but smile. He thought he'd won. But he had no idea. I've been waiting for this moment. You think you've won? I sneered. I knew you'd try to possess him. Chuyuni's organs filled with energy. I added something to his bowl. A trace of chaos chi. The deeper you possess him, the deeper the chaos chi eats away at you. Mingjin's face changed instantly. He tried to escape Chuyuni's body. But the locking talisman had already activated. Golden runes. Wrapped around Chuyuni like chains. Trapping him tightly inside. Mingjin was like an insect trapped in amber. Struggling but unable to move. I used the eternal youth technique. And forced chaos chi inside. Pushing it madly into Chuyuni. Chaos chi is the weakness of the Mingmang clan. To Mingjin, it's like acid poured on his skin. His true form twisted violently inside Chuyuni. He let out inhuman screams. No, it can't be. How did you know I'm from the Mingmang clan? I didn't answer. In my past life, I saw a Mingmang survivor in the cultivation world. That disgusting aura, I'll never forget it. Chaos chi is their only weakness. And I just happen to have the purest chaos chi in the world. Chuyuni's body was shaking. He hadn't completely lost his mind. He was fighting Mingjin for control. I locked Mingjin with my spiritual sense. Forcing him out of Chuyuni bit by bit. The process was painful and slow. Black liquid kept seeping from Chuyuni's 7 orifices. It was Mingjin's remains corroded by chaos chi. An hour later, I finally forced Mingjin out. Once Mingjin left Chuyuni, he turned into thick black smoke that twisted wildly in the air. His body was shattered. But he was still struggling. Trying to escape. I can't let him get away. Not a chance. If someone like him, even a fragment of his soul escapes, in a few decades he'll be back. I chased after him with my saber. The heavenly wolf blade was charged with chaos chi. I struck down with one blow. The black mist split open. Mingjin's scream cut through the air. 1 hit, 2 hits. 3 times, I slashed like mad. Every blow meant to kill. The black smoke thinned out more and more. Mingjin's screams faded. Finally, with the last strike, the black smoke vanished completely. I cut Mingjin's true form into pieces. But right before he died, he exploded his nether mirror. It's an ancient immortal artifact. That blast was as strong as a heavenly tribulation. A flash of white light swallowed everything. The shockwave swept out like a tsunami. I didn't hesitate. I put up a shield with all my power. Protecting Chuyuni with my body. The shockwave smashed the shield. Shattering it like an eggshell. Both of my nascent souls, the multicolored one and the golden one, were shattered in an instant. The pain nearly made me pass out. Half of the Chu mansion was leveled. When I woke up, I found myself lying in the ruins. Bloody all over. I couldn't move. Chuyuni was right by my side. His hair was white again. With no color in his face. He looked like a marble statue. I realized he had used the 3-life fate rune. Sharing his life with me. I asked him why he was so foolish. He just smiled and said it was worth it. I said, hell no, it's not. He said meeting me was worth everything. I cried. 300 years as a cultivator. And I'd never shed a tear. But that day, I did. I cried like a kid. The nether mirror explosion destroyed my 2 nascent souls. Leaving my powers at rock bottom. My body started aging fast. My hair turned white. My skin wrinkled. And even walking was tough. I used to break giant rocks with a punch. Now I could barely hold a cup. The elders of the continent mobilized, searching for the world source. The chaos chi crystal called Restoration Stone. Legend says it can restore dantians and heal nascent souls. But after 7 days, We found nothing. The continent is just too huge. The restoration stone hidden too deep. Like finding a needle in an ocean. Just as I was about to give up, Hue showed up. She's my spirit beast, a Lingji mushroom. Evolved from a glass snail. After she leveled up, she took human form. As a 5 or 6-year-old girl. Wearing a green dress. Her hair in 2 ponytails. With big sparkly eyes. Cute as a porcelain doll. She grabbed my hand. And said in a childish voice she knew where the restoration stone was. Half believing her, I followed. We walked through the forest outside Emerald Ring City. Until we reached a giant ancient tree. That tree was absurdly huge. It'd take over a dozen people to wrap around the trunk. The crown blocked out the sky. Inside the tree was an ancient teleport array. Covered in moss and vines. Hue said, go inside. The restoration stone's in there. I bit my finger. And dripped blood on the formation's core. Blue light lit up the teleport array. And a powerful force pulled me in. A second later, I was in a void. Surrounded by floating blue crystals. Twinkling like stars. Restoration stones everywhere. A man in a green robe appeared before me. Calling himself Lord Wang Yaoxian. He said to use the restoration stone, I'd have to become the Realm Lord. I didn't hesitate, and agreed. Being Realm Lord sounded flashy. But to me, if it meant survival. And fixing my Dantian, I'd do anything. The moment I got the Realm Lord's power. I felt a shock I'd never known. All the info about the Qianyuan continent. Flooded my mind. Every city. Every forest. Every river. Every star beast. Every person. I could even sense the spirit veins deep underground. And hear a baby crying thousands of miles away. That feeling of omniscience. Was both exciting and scary. I also saw the 2 missing continent fragments. Scattered deep in the universe. One to the east. One to the west. Both very, very far away. Across endless void and star fields. Lord Wang Yaoxian told me. That Qianyuan realm used to be one big world. With 3 realm star stones. That kept everything running. After the ancient war. The world shattered into 3 pieces. The biggest piece. Is the Qianyuan continent where we're now. If the other 2 fragments are found. The realm can become whole again. And when that happens. The spiritual energy here is 100 times denser than before. The cultivation environment rivals any great cultivation world. I asked him, why don't you go find it yourself? He gave a bitter smile and said. He's just a remnant soul now. He can't leave this space. For over 10,000 years. He's been stuck here. Watching the Qianyuan realm slowly decline. Helpless to do anything. I sighed and said I'd do my best. Immortal Lord Wang Yao looked at me. A glimmer of comfort in his eyes. You, girl, aren't one for drama. I said, does drama help? He said, nope. I said, then that's it. I sat down cross-legged. And started absorbing the chaos energy in the heart ring chamber. Time means nothing while cultivating. Inside the heart ring stone space. I couldn't feel time passing. Every day I just absorbed chaos energy. Used the everlasting longevity sutra. To heal my nascent soul. And tried to break through my limits. Over and over again. So dull it felt like chanting. But I didn't dare stop. The chaos energy here was absurdly pure. 100 times thicker than in the Qianyuan continent's air. Every bit I took in. My Dantian healed a little more. And my nascent soul got clearer. The everlasting longevity sutra spun wildly. Bones broke and regrew. Organs and marrow renewed. I leveled up, layer after layer. No idea how long I went on. Finally, I opened my eyes. Checked my Dantian with my senses. And froze in shock. Both my nascent souls weren't just healed. They're even stronger than before. It shocked me and made me happy. Glowing brilliantly. Radiating a powerful aura. My cultivation jumped from golden core to nascent soul. From nascent soul to spirit severing. And from spirit severing to tribulation passing. Leveling up non-stop. Just one step away from ascension. I got up. Stretched my body. My bones cracking loudly. I felt powerful all over. Wang Yao's remnant soul looked at me. And nodded. 16 years, you finally woke up. 16 years? I thought it was just a few months. Time means nothing while cultivating. Old saying's true after all. I left the heart ring. And the space returned me to the old continent. Sunlight was blinding. Air was fresh. Everything had changed. Yang Zhou married Chuing. Had a son named Yang Qianfan. Li Yi's daughter, Li Xinian, grew up too. And goes to Dayton Academy. Yi Qingtian became commander of the 4th Army. Cui Tianxiao joined the 3rd Army. Qi Ming works in the Elders' Council. Everything changed. Yet somehow, nothing's changed. I stood in sunlight. And took a deep breath. 16 years, I'm finally back. News of my return spread like wildfire. All over Qianyuan overnight. Communication devices everywhere blew up. Headlines were all about Lin Hao's return. Yi Qingtian was the first to arrive. He rushed here overnight from the 4th Army base. Still travel-worn. Didn't even change out of uniform. The moment he saw me, the calm on his face cracked. He said nothing. Just walked over and hugged me tight. Then came Cui Tianxiao, who took a leave from the 3rd Army. And literally ran all the way here. He burst into tears the second he walked in. His charming face was a complete mess. Even his face mask was soaked. Qi Ming came last. He was still stuttering. But this time, he managed to say a lot in one go. His eyes red, words choking up. 3 grown men hugging each other, crying their eyes out. I laughed at them for being soft. Said, "You're all generals now. Could you act the part?" But as I spoke, my eyes turned red too. Cui Tianxiao said, "You're crying too." I said, "There's dust in my eyes." He said, "We're indoors." "What dust?" I said, "Shut up." When Qi Yunyi came to get me, I almost didn't recognize him. His hair's black again. And he looks a lot healthier. His cultivation's already up to tribulation passing. But he still hasn't ascended. I asked what he was waiting for. He said, "To go with you." Hui Hui came too. She'd grown into a young lady. Not that little girl with pigtails anymore. She grabbed my hand and whined, "Master, you're finally back." I said, "You're a young lady now. Still whining?" She said, "No matter how old. I'm always your little cutie." Looking at everyone here, a wave of warmth ran through me. This life, I'm not alone anymore. I've decided to fix the Qianyuan realm's teleportation array. We'll reconnect with other worlds. So people from Qianyuan can go out and train. And others can come here to exchange ideas. This is the first step for Qianyuan to rejoin the vast world. And it's the most important step. Qi Yunyi volunteered to help set up the array. He's a heaven-ranked rune master. His skills and formations are above mine. I provided the spirit stones and materials. He handled the design and engraving of the array. Ancestor Li Zhan's avatar also joined to help. He used resources from the immortal realm to connect us with the Yunmeng realm. Yunmeng is a top cultivation world. It has a special connection with our Qianyuan in the past. 10,000 years ago, the two realms interacted. But the array broke down later. And contact was lost. Ancestor Li Zhan said. The leader of the Yayin sect in Yunmeng might be able to help. Through the cross-realm communication array, we got in touch with the sect leader. When I showed the colored bead bracelet, the leader was stunned. That was their lost sect keepsake from 1,000 generations ago. Back then, the founder of Yayin sect, Fei, gave it to an old friend in Qianyuan before passing. He gave the bracelet to a friend in the Qianyuan realm. I returned the bracelet to them. The leader of Yayin was so emotional their voice trembled. They said the Yayin sect owed me a huge favor. I said there's no need for thanks. Once the array is open, just come do business in Qianyuan more often. On the day the array was finished, it rained all over Qianyuan continent. The rain was filled with spiritual energy. It nourished every inch of land. Spirit herbs grew wildly. New beasts evolved. Everyone's cultivation improved a level. Yang Zhou stood in the rain. He called this a heavenly blessing. I said it's not a blessing. It's business. After the array opened, cultivators from other worlds flooded in. They were amazed by the herbs and new beasts here. These things are priceless elsewhere. But here, they're everywhere. Treasure hunters, merchants, adventurers. All kinds of people poured into Qianyuan. The continent had never been this busy before. Qianyuan's gardeners started going out too. They traveled to Yunmeng, Tianluo, and Dayo to train. To learn deeper techniques and fighting skills. When they brought back new knowledge and resources, the cultivation level of Qianyuan rose rapidly. A dozen years later, Qianyuan continent leveled up from a fragment to a small world. Spiritual energy multiplied several times over. Even the herbs became higher grade. After a few more decades, it advanced to a middle world. Fragments of the 3 media new stone were being summoned back from all across the universe. Qianyuan realm. was slowly returning to its past glory. And for me, it's time to ascend. On the day of my tribulation, Chuyuni was at my side. Two bolts of tribulation lightning struck at once. Purple arcs tore open the sky. Even the earth trembled. We stood together and took it head on. Never backing down. The gate to the immortal realm opened. Golden light poured out from inside. It was warm and sacred. I looked back at the continent. 16 years ago, I crawled out from a pile of trash. Covered in wounds. With nothing at all. Now I stand before the immortal gate. With family, friends, and comrades behind me. And a whole world changed because of me. My name is Lin Hao. In my past life, I was a Jindan cultivator and master alchemist. In this life, I'm lord of the Qianyuan realm. Changed the fate of this world on my own. But most important, I found people worth protecting. That's enough. I turned around. And walked into the immortal gate.